Where were you when you heard Matt Gaetz, right? Because I think we were all like, oh, Pete Hegseth, well, there's a curveball. And then it was like, no, right? My exchanges with my team was like, we're the bullshit. No, you lie. And sure enough, he's proposing, he's nominating Matt Gaetz to be the attorney general. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't even 100% sure Matt Gaetz was a lawyer until I was reminded he is a lawyer. And it's had the predictable response. Fetterman, I think, probably summed it up the best by saying the following. I think this is it. Let's listen to SOT 1.
I mean, I would describe it as God tier level trolling to just trigger a full-on China syndrome to own the libs in perpetuity.
Pretty accurate.
I think he's right.
Right? What do you guys make of it?
I love that he gets it now.
Yeah.
I mean, he totally gets it.
Well, I like to think of Donald Trump as like a T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and he's testing the electric fencing on Washington, D.C. You know, like see how many of the establishment he can anger with these nominations, which has been very entertaining.
Yeah, they had Pete Hegseth obviously created the defense industrial complex meltdown that we saw. And he was like, God, I really thought that would be worse.
Yeah.
Well, let's get a load of this one.
Totally. Though somebody was saying that like Hegseth was the prep for Gaetz, you know, and now Gaetz could be prep, or for Hegseth was the prep for Tulsi, and Tulsi will be the prep for Gaetz, and now God only knows what's coming next. Like, yeah, no idea.
I think the greatest renewable energy in Washington, D.C. is outrage.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's threatening to take that meter down to zero.
All right, so let's talk about it, because Gaetz, for the listening audience, is controversial for a number of reasons. He is definitely a professional shit stirrer. He is fiercely loyal to Donald Trump. He actually is a very effective cross-examiner, and that I am realizing comes from his time as a lawyer. But he's very good when he's going after somebody on Capitol Hill at these hearings. But he is also immersed in controversy. Some salacious allegations have been made against him by the DOJ, which then decided not to pursue charges. Gaetz has denied these charges. We can talk about them, but still under investigation by the House Ethics Committee or Oversight Committee. Now that's done because he resigned yesterday when this news came out, but it's going to come up if he goes through a confirmation hearing. And then also something probably closer to your hearts, you guys, he took down Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker over on the Republican side, and then kind of didn't really have a solution ready to go once Kevin McCarthy fell. But this is one of the reasons why a lot of the so-called establishment Republicans hate him, and therefore it is, let's say, far from a guarantee that he will be confirmed, because we already have Murkowski and Collins on the record seeming to say it's a no. They can't afford to lose too many others. And, you know, you've got some squishes over there when it comes to these kinds of people. So I don't know. Andy McCarthy says, why are we even engaging in this debate? He's never going to be confirmed. So this is all pointless. So who wants to take it? Any of those?
Well, yeah, look, all of that is true. Everything you said is true. And he's dedicated his entirety of his congressional career to creating enemies, mostly from within, like mostly within his own party. And it kind of goes way beyond the establishment of your own party. He's just not played by anybody's rules, which I imagine probably makes him pretty popular amongst the American people, certainly outside the Beltway. The problem is, as you suggested, at some point you have to figure out how to get 51 votes to get confirmed as Attorney General. I think we may have talked about this, months and months and months ago, Megyn, is that Donald Trump's nominee to be Attorney General was always going to be the most controversial of them all. It was going to be the most difficult because of this hardened Democratic opposition to it, some concerns lingering on the Republican side about what he would do with the Department of Justice. And so he just went full Leroy Jenkins on it and was like, if you're gonna be controversial, well, then let's make it the most controversial. And that's where we're at. I do think the only thing that I'm concerned about from a Trump standpoint is how much political capital do you use on this stuff. He's got 4 years. And you got to figure out how to get a whole bunch of things done in the first 6-8 months. And political capital is at its highest when you win an election, certainly in the fashion that he did. And you begin to drain political capital out of it with each thing that you do that becomes controversial, that you have to actually use the power of the presidency to try to get through. Using too much on this in what may very well be something that just can't be done concerns me a little bit, because there's a whole bunch of things about that Trump agenda the American people really, really want him to spend all of his political capital getting.
Yeah, but, he has earned the right to pick who he wants.
Yep.
He had a huge win last Tuesday, and he has a mandate to pick whoever he wants, and the Senate is going to consider them, and we'll see what happens. But, if you look at Gaetz, like you said, he can cross-examine. The guy is not without talent. And if you look at the beginning of his career, he is a guy who supported Jeb Bush in 2016, which I think is why Comfortably Smug likes him so much. Smug really liked Jeb.
So I look at the same data that Ashbrook and Holmes are presenting, and I think it's accurate, but my conclusion is completely different. President Trump did come away with an absolute mandate, which is why I think every one of these senators should be on board with it. And like Holmes said, there's a small window where Trump can act, and it's even shorter than 4 years. It's even shorter than 2 years. It's probably the first 100 days where you can really move the ball before you start getting all the opposing forces organized and trying to stop Trump's agenda, which is why I think Matt Gaetz would be the perfect person you want in place in those first 100 days. I think what most of these people are afraid of is, oh, God, we had the Department of Justice and we used it to go after conservatives. We used it to go after Trump. You had Merrick Garland calling parents who would show up to school board meetings domestic terrorists. So we don't need to send, the same old, same old. We need to send the message that, hey, that time is up. There's a new sheriff in town.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I agree with you, Smug.
Yeah.
I was never really a Matt Gaetz fan. I was never really a huge Matt Gaetz person at all. I haven't really spent any time thinking about him other than with that whole Kevin McCarthy defenestration thing. But I know that there are allegations against him. There are no charges. So that's that. They weren't able to make any charges, and it involved his alleged relationship with a 17-year-old girl, which he's denied. And then they were accusing him of sex trafficking. He went on, he denied this. This is the thing he went on Tucker about a long time ago. He answered the charges, he says bullshit, and didn't go anywhere. So, that's that. We'll see what the House says, if there's something more. But if there was something seriously more, we would have seen a charge. But what I look at is two things. Number one, and I tweeted this out yesterday, if you are Donald Trump and your chosen attorney general has turned you over to Robert Mueller, who then ruined your first term as president with a bunch of bullshit, then you leave office and the next guy's attorney general is behind not one, but two criminal prosecutions of you, and his DOJ is cooperating with not one, but two state prosecutions of you in a bridge that's never been crossed in our 250-year history as a nation, then I, too, might prize loyalty to me above all other qualities and go with a guy like Matt Gaetz. Who can blame Trump for trying to pick the most loyal soldier he can find for this position? And then point two is what you just said, Smug. Eric Holder was a partisan hack loser. And so is Merrick Garland, partisan hack loser. So I don't care. Like at this point, I'm like, you know what? F you people. Get the fighter in there. The gloves are off. You took them off. Now Trump's brought in his own guy with the brass knuckles. It's on.
Yeah, that's the greatest fear of Democrats, is that other people will do to them what they've been doing to the American people. And Trump picking people who are loyal to him is exactly what the American people want. That's why he has the popular vote on top of the Electoral College in his victory. He needs to send people who will execute his vision 100%. And if he sees Matt Gaetz as a loyalist who's willing to accomplish that, I'm 100% on board.
I don't blame him, Duncan, for being a little squeamish about, some rando establishment attorney general. Sorry, Ashbrook, I interrupt you. You go.
Go. What I was saying, it's going to take a very, very strong person to fix these gigantic problems at DOJ, and Gaetz will take a meat axe to it. You can bet on that. And if he doesn't get there, Trump will find somebody else who will do the exact same thing because these problems have to be addressed. That's why he was elected.
4 years of crushing interest rates, runaway inflation, and reckless government spending, and who is paying the price? You are. You might have bills stacking up, debt collectors on your back. You might barely be able to keep food on the table. Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed new, aggressive strategies designed to get you out of debt permanently, without bankruptcy and without loans. Done with Debt stands between you and your bill collectors. They can go head-to-head with these creditors, getting balances reduced, interest rates slashed, and penalties stopped. They create a plan to end your debt fast and put more cash in your pocket every month. And right now, Done with Debt is accepting new clients, but you need to act fast. Some credit relief programs expire. Before you even make another payment, consider a visit to donewithdebt.com or call 1-888-322-1054 right now. Speak with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.